Sup guys, this is franalations for Show Me Your Sneaker Collection on the shoegame.com. I want to thank G-Rock a lot for this opportunity. So I'm going to be talking to you about either the shoes that mean a lot to me or my rare shoes and whatnot. So let's get into it. I'm going to start off with these Bapestas. These were my first pair of Bape shoes. I got back in like 2006, and these were actually given to me by my dad when he was on a business trip in New York. Next, we have the Old Spice Dunk Lows. This shoe, when it came out, me and all my best friends picked it up. It's kind of like our team shoe. BSG for life, DTB up. These are the Poison Dunk Lows. Some of my friends have picked these up, and once they got it, kind of got it to match them, 3/4. Here's the Freddy Dunk Lows. It's a really nice shoe, so I'm disappointed that Nike never actually released these to the public. Here's the Pigeon Dunk Low. I like these a lot, but I'm still looking for the Parises. These are the What the Dunks. I picked these up at Brooklyn Project. Shout out to Brooklyn Projects. Dawn, you know what's up. These are the Supreme Dunk Lows. These are a 7.5. They're kind of creased up, but I still like wearing them. I was wearing these out one day in Riverside, and someone came up to me and they're like, "How do you like your Supremes?" I was like, "They're chill." And he's like, "Oh, okay," because I was the one that sold them to you, so I thought that was pretty funny. It's a small world. Here's the Tiffany Dunk Lows. Mine are getting kind of dirty though, so I need to clean them up. I've been saying that for a while now though. Here's the White Supreme Lows. A very clean shoe. Like this a lot. Definitely in my top 5 SBs. Here's the Heineken Dunk Lows. Shout out to Pan again on these. Here's the Jedis. Most people like them for the neon laces. Me personally, the neon stitching is what got me, and the patent leather on the back definitely helps. J-Packs. Yeah, this is definitely my favorite SB just because of how chill of a shoe it is, and it goes with pretty much anything. Next, we have another shoe that's on my top 5 SB list, and that's the Bison Dunk Low. Here's the Futuras. I like it for its mix of materials and colors that, in my opinion, you wouldn't normally see on a shoe, or wouldn't expect to see on a shoe. Next, we have the Puss Heads. It's got the crazy design on the inside, the quilted material on the inside, crazy design on the outside, and crazy design on the box. All around dope shoe. The Hunters, another shoe with the crazy design on the outside and the quilted material on the inside. Trickstar Dunk Lows, got these a few months early at Brooklyn Projects. Another shout out to them and Dom and everyone over there. These are the Lobster Dunk Lows, and I've always really liked the concept, and obviously Concept was the one that designed it, so shout out to them. Here's the Korhari Dunk Low. I got this shoe a few months early, found them on eBay, and I believe this is another one of the shoes that Brooklyn Project designed, so another shout out to them. The Dunkles, love the patent leather swoosh on these, and obviously the design on it is real crazy too. Here's the MF Dooms, really awesome release from, I believe, back in 07. Went ahead and threw the Gucci laces on these. Here's the Dino Juniors. Mine are 7.5. They're very near dead stock, so if anyone has a 6.5 or 7 and is willing to trade, feel free to hit me up. Here's the De La Highs. These were my first SBs. Got these back in 2005. And out of all the shoes in my collection, this is probably the shoe I've worn the most. Love these. Here's the Hough Dunk High. I was never really too interested in these until I went to New York to visit my friends, and my friend Melissa had this in her collection. I tried it on and I had to cop. Here's the Money Cat Dunk Mid. This was my first Dunk Mid I ever got. It's a size 6 though, so it's kind of small. But yeah, it's a tie between these and the Mama Bears as to what's my favorite dunk mid. Here's the Mama Bear dunk mids. Like I said, it's a tie between these and the Money Cats as to what's my favorite dunk mid. I really like the concept behind these. I'm a big fan of the dunk mid, and I grew up on Ninja Turtles, plus I love the color purple, so these shoes were a no question for me. I've always been into flashy colors, and especially the color purple. Not really too big on Air Force Ones, but this is definitely my favorite Air Force One, the Busy Peas. In my eyes, this is like the ultimate release. Kanye West, my favorite artist, mixed with Nike, like my favorite brand, like doesn't get much better than this. Very easy. Before I collected shoes, I collected Nintendo games and Nintendo systems. So this Wii-inspired Air Force 2 was a really nice concept for me, and I definitely was looking forward to this release. Here's the Cause Air Max 90. I have still not seen this size 6.5, anywhere online, and I believe one of the Nike reps hooked me up with these over there at Montalban. Here's the Titanium 23s, and although this shoe isn't my size, it's definitely a shoe worth having in the collection. I camped out for these for 3 days in New York while I was on vacation, and I met a lot of people from that, which I'm still friends with to this day. This was my first pair of Air Jordans. I wore them a lot back in high school. I think I got these either the end of '03 or the beginning of '04. Here's the Black Cement 3s. This is one of the retros that still had Nike Air on the back. I'm still looking for an OG pair at some point because they were released in February of 1988. I was born on February 23rd of 1988, and since 23 is Jordan's number, I like to assume this shoe was released on the day I was born. Here's the Thunderforce, a really awesome shoe in my opinion, and shout out to Sneaker Father for having these. Here's the CDP Bread 4s, in my opinion the most wearable CDP release, really chill, like these a lot. Here's the White Cement 4s, this is a 1999 retro. Threw the gray laces on these, and I thought it added a lot to the shoe. Here's the DMP 6s. These are a 7.5 though, and I'm not exactly too sure if they ever released these in a size 7. Here's the Flint 7s, definitely on my top 5 list as far as Jordans go. I never even knew about this shoe until I camped out for the Titanium 23s, and one of my friends from New York, Megan, she was wearing this shoe to the camp out, and yeah, definitely went back home to California and ended up picking up these. Liked them so much I actually got a baby size too. Here's the Aqua Eights. I remember I was all excited. I got these like a week early. I went with my friend Lee to pick these up, and so we both got a pair. Here's the Countdown Pack 11s. A lot of people complain about the quality on these compared to the older release. I don't even have the older release, and I can tell just from the pictures that the quality on these are lacking, but in my opinion, since I'm not as much of a Jordan fan, I'm fine with paying the kids price on the CDPs to get me a pair of these. Here's the Countdown Pack 11s. Once again, these are a 7.5 though. Not even sure if they made a size 7. Here's the 22s. I went to the midnight release of these. I was on vacation in Vegas when they released. And I like this shoe because it reminds me a lot of the 3, only more futuristic. Here's a pair of the 23s. This shoe's pretty special to me because my mom actually picked these up for me. So yeah, I was pretty happy with these. The only thing I was disappointed on is, I don't know if you can tell, but the tongue is already pretty yellow, and like the shoe only came out last year. My guess is it has a lot to do with the gold behind the tongue, but I'm not even too sure. Here's another pair of 23s that I definitely had to pick up. These were released on the same day as my birthday, so yeah, that's what's up. I'm a really big fan of the Spizikes. This is actually my favorite color of the Spizikes, the fire red. These were an online release, and yeah, love these shoes. I got these Dub Zeros back in 2005. I was in New York. I got these as the same time as I got the 20s, and I wore this shoe a lot in high school too. This Psychic Camo colorway of the Bapesta was definitely like my favorite colorway to be released on a pair of studs. My favorite colorway in general from Bape, whether it be on the Bapesta, the Roadster, or any of the other clothing they've released in this colorway, is the AM/PM colorway. As I've said over and over again, I'm a big fan of purple, so this colorway is awesome to me. I wore these Pharrell Roadsters a lot. When this release came out, I liked all 3, but I had to go with the purple one because, as I've said over and over, purple is my favorite. As you can tell, I wore these a lot, though. They're all scratched up, but whatever. I like these shoes. This was my first pair of Supras. It's really chill, all black, but it's got a good mix of materials, the suede with the croc print. These all-gray patent leather TKs are, in my opinion, the best colorway so far from the TKs. Here's a pair of the all-red Louis Vuitton Dons. The shoe's slightly big for me, but I just double sock it and rock it. Here's a pair of the US size 9 Jaspers from the LV times Kanye collabo. I also have a pair of Dons that both pairs are going to stay dead stock. Alright, so I wanted to thank G-Rock one more time for the opportunity. And I want to tell you guys, if you haven't checked it out yet, TSG Community is definitely the business. I got on that thing like last week, and I love it. If you're on Twitter, make sure to follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/franalations. Make sure to rate, subscribe, and comment. And see you guys later. Alright?